So, what's it gonna be? Ant-Man.
It was a sack of dog shit. It was trash.
Hello, you beautiful people. My name is David Vieta. I'm joined by Abe and Charlie Medeiros. Welcome to the Redox Cinema Podcast. And well, for our listeners and our viewers, we hope you're doing well. And for today, y'all, we got a review on Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. And before we get into the review and what we thought about it, we just watched it. You know, we're recording this right after watching it, so this is definitely a new way of doing it. But I'm loving it so far because we get our thoughts right in as quick as possible. So I like that. But before we get into our thoughts and everything, Abe, Charlie, you know the drill. How y'all doing?
I'm exhausted after watching this. That's how I'm doing. Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm cool.
I feel by the way y'all are, reacting right now, it's looking like, you might have not had a good time watching this film.
I'm underwhelmed.
Underwhelmed is an understatement, bro. It was a sack of dog shit. It was trash. I kept looking over at Davi and like, yo, what are we watching, bro?
I said that to you like 10 times.
Yeah.
Dude, we made references comparing it to other movies, like joking all the time. Because it just felt like they crammed all this shit into a movie and it just looked like ass and... Oh my God! What a train wreck!
Oh,
this is bad, folks. Don't even listen to the rest of the review.
Oh my God, bro! What a way to start. I don't think we've ever said that about any movie.
Yeah, no, this is ass. Marvel fans, I'm coming for you on this one, bro. I'm coming for you on this one. This movie sucked.
Yeah.
It had its moments.
I've never seen Charlie go off like that. This is crazy.
It's bad. It's bad. No,
Well, all right, we're
I'm
gonna
not
have a
letting this
great
slide.
time with this review
Yeah, they're coming for you, bro.
I don't care. I don't care. Come for me. Come for me.
I think the reason why is because this movie has proved a lot of the statements made in the past, and I think Charlie is very excited and eager to get into this conversation. But before we get into this conversation and everything, man, it's like Rocky. And he's like, I'm ready. Before we get into this conversation, Abe, can you give us a quick rundown of what the movie's about and what we had watched?
Yes, I got a little summary here. So, Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne, along with Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, explore the quantum realm, where they interact with strange creatures and embark on an adventure that goes beyond the limits of what they thought was possible and what I thought I could withstand in a movie that felt like 4 hours.
For real, bro.
I'm so sorry, but Charlie got me like riled up.
Yo, all right, I'm gonna
Sum it up.
I'm here gonna try to control the conversation, and we're gonna go into it. But
Calm and composed.
all right, let's do this for the viewers or listeners who haven't seen the film yet and are listening. We're doing ratings right now, so we're just gonna get into it, and then after the ratings, we're going to a more in-depth discussion on what we thought about the film with spoilers. But I'm gonna start with Abe first. Abe, finished the movie. I felt like the vibe in our entire theater was like, okay, I can go home and go to sleep. That was a good time. I'm heading home. No one was really going out there like, yes, that's an MCU movie right there. That's a good movie. So I want to know from you what your ratings were and what your thoughts were quickly, and then get into Charlie as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like there were people in the theater that were enjoying it because I do feel like a lot of the Marvel movies, like, they do pander to fans in a decent way at least. And if you're a big Marvel fan, like, you might end up having a good time at this film. So, and if you do, no hate towards you. Like, genuinely, no hate towards you. You like what you like. So for me, I finished the film and I was very, like I mentioned, I was underwhelmed. I was just like, okay, that's that. And I was also a little bit disappointed, and we can talk about, the previous conversation we had, which was there's so much in the Marvel universe that it's hard to keep up. So, like, following all the timelines and everything that's going on, can be a little bit much. And I'm sure that people who are really into Marvel are going to be like, oh, well, you're just not trying and like whatnot. But like, it can be a lot. Like all the shows, all the films, everything that they're coming out with, it's hard to kind of keep track of. But, you know, so when I go and see a Marvel MCU movie, I'm expecting something to, you know, really overwhelm me or like really move me or not even move me, because I think that I just want to enjoy it, right?
Yeah,
that's what I go for.
You want to have a good time.
Yeah, I just want to go and have a good time.
Yeah.
And I think there were parts in this movie, to be honest with you, like there were parts in this movie that I was kind of having a good time. But then I was just like, there's things that just threw me off, and it, you know, some of the serious tone and plot of the story with like the humor and the amount of humor they threw around in the film was like really jarring. And it kind of felt like sometimes I was watching it and I was thinking it was like Thor: Love and Thunder. And the reason why is because like Thor: Love and Thunder had an amazing villain, like played by Christian Bale, and then this has an amazing villain, played by Jonathan Majors, and like it feels wasted, and like that made me feel about it. So I don't know. All in all, like I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, this movie was the absolute worst thing I've ever seen, but I'd probably give it a solid 5.1.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what I'm feeling on it, honestly.
Yo, Charlie's out here shaking his head.
I was like, that's too high.
That's too high.
Was I too generous?
Wait,
just to point this out, I've never seen Charlie like this. He's shaking his head. He is he's annoyed. He's annoyed.
It's so funny because before we started this, I was joking like, I'm gonna go Scorsese on this, and then Charlie was like, nah, hold my beer.
Hold up, let him cook.
I'm letting him cook. Go ahead, Charles.
Charlie, all right, give me one positive, one negatives, and what you thought about the film. And going, you know.
God, I have to name a positive? Okay.
Stop.
Come on,
you can do.
I'm kidding.
There's
this,
positives.
like Abe said, this movie does have its moments. It's not like it's like complete garbage through and through. It does have its moments where it makes you chuckle or laugh or whatever. That for me is the Baskin Robbins thing. That I thought that was pretty funny. But then there are some jokes in here where I'm like, what the hell? Who wrote this shit? Like, who the hell did? No, bro. It's bad, okay? There's some jokes in there that are bad, like really bad. And a negative, literally like 95% of this movie is a negative. It's really bad. Oh, I wanna list another positive just so I'm not completely shitting on it all the time.
Okay.
Jonathan Majors is the standout of the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree.
He's incredible as Kang. He did a very good job. I do think that he was better explained in the end of Loki season 1 than he was in this film, but that's a conversation for a later point of this episode, probably.
Wow. Okay, and Charlie, what would you rate it?
Yo,
Yo,
it's bad, bro. It's bad. Like I didn't
Give it to me, bro.
Come on.
It's a 2.
Oh my
Oh
god.
It's a 2. I'm not even joking. Like I'm dead ass. It's a 2. It's low.
Can you give me some other films that you've seen that's like a 2 or like around
just so
that
we
range, just so like I can compare in my head and be like, is it as bad as that?
I don't remember what I gave Thor, but I would say that's another one. Love and Thunder. That's that's pretty bad.
I thought Love and Thunder, for the record, is worse than this. But
Really?
Yeah.
I think Love and Thunder is better than this.
No.
Yeah, I do.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I think Love and Thunder is better than this. It's at least a little bit more concise. This movie, I was looking at Davi and I was like,
That's fair.
dude, I feel like I'm watching a world where Star Wars is happening. There's a character that looks like those aliens from Jimmy Neutron, if you remember that. I might put it on the screen literally for you to see.
How many holes do you have?
He has 7 holes.
Yeah, that's right.
I would love for that to stop.
There's an old character that pops up and he looks mad weird, and we thought we were watching freaking Spy Kids.
Yeah. Oh my god. No.
It was so weird.
It was
Looked like Shark Boy and
M-Dog.
Lava
It was
Girl.
MDOK. M-Dog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It looked like
exactly.
the George Lopez villain in Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
yeah, Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
I'm Mr. Electric.
We were like, dude, what is going on with this movie? Every one of the living things in this universe and like the whole like world inside the quantum realm like just looked like it was ripped out of Star Wars, and
other like weird.
Yeah.
Like it was like blatantly Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It
I
felt
got
really
like
weird.
Tron Legacy vibes at one point too.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I got Spy Kids 3D vibes at one point.
Oh
Not gonna
my
lie.
Lord.
Some of the stuff, some
That's
of
a
the
bad
CGI, some of the CGI in this movie is god awful. I'm just gonna say it's like pretty.
Do you think
bad.
it's god awful because you were coming back from Avatar: The Way of Water?
I think
is that why?
I was
Yeah,
thinking
that's
that
probably
during
why.
the movie.
That's
I was
probably
thinking that
why.
during the movie.
But I could like there are certain scenes in here where I'm looking at them, I'm just like that is blatant green screen right behind this character.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's
true.
Really,
I feel like I watch Marvel movies and that happens every time I watch a movie.
but some of them do it better.
Mhm.
You know, some of them do it better. Like there are a few examples that I can like point out that's like, wow, this is really bad.
Doctor
green screen.
Strange had really good visuals.
Doctor Strange had good visuals, but another one that had really bad visuals was Black Widow in the scene where
Yeah, it was bad.
Yelena's jumping out of the
Yeah.
helicopter. That is obvious green screen, and this movie has a lot of that throughout it. At least for me. Others might just look past it, but I mean it's a 2 for me. I'm sorry.
Wow.
That's cool, bro. That's
Probably
your
the lowest rating I've ever given on
this podcast. Yeah, I think so too. With me, I think coming in, I've been kind of bored of the MCU, and I was kind of hopeful that this was gonna change, my opinion, and maybe it was gonna be something different. Yeah, it didn't at all. I was really hyped to see this movie, but as I was reading the reviews this week, I was like, oh no, this is not.
I was not excited.
Oh gosh, please no. And I was like, you know what? Forget the reviews. Have your own take.
Yeah.
And my own take coming in was that I did not enjoy it whatsoever. And no, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say whatsoever. No. I'm saying as a film in general, I did not like it. But again, there was moments where I was like, yes, like why didn't you keep this tone throughout the entire film? That was my questioning the entire time. I was like, because every single time Jonathan Majors and Kang was on screen, I was like, yes. Like I felt like I was watching a totally different movie.
Yeah.
And there was moments where I don't know, I felt like it should have been Ant-Man versus Kang. I don't know. It's
maybe that would have been better.
The name of the movie. I don't know. I just had trouble connecting with the other characters. I think Kang we connected really well, but the other protagonists just didn't work for me. I think the on-screen chemistry was just not as good compared to other team-up MCU movies, and I think that really kind of made me not enjoy the movie and kind of be thrown off by it and being like, this is, I don't know, I just wasn't having a good time with the team and with the Ant family. I don't know, I just felt like their chemistry wasn't like I said as good. But like I said before, Kang was really good, Jonathan Majors really good, but another thing is the quantum realm, the world. I did not feel immersed at it whatsoever. When I would look at it, I'd be like, the visuals, I just feel like they should have taken their time with this movie. I feel like it wasn't ready to be released yet. And I feel like there was something good there, and we got something that wasn't good. But with that being said, I still enjoyed seeing Jonathan Majors, and I think he carried this film. Like, the man put it on his back and carried it. Because if it wasn't for him, I don't think my rating would be what it is, because I'm very excited to see what comes next for Kang. And yeah, but with that being said, I'm around Abe's as well. I'm giving it a 5.2. I thought Kang is what keeps my score out of 5.
You guys are very generous. Very generous.
I'm trying to think
The 2 points are for Kang for me.
The 2 points are for Kang.
Because everything else is kind of useless. Not gonna lie. Like the whole point of the movie is to introduce Kang properly and set up, the big fight that's gonna happen, or the war that's gonna happen, continuing throughout the rest of the movies. He's the best part of the movie.
And I'll be honest, I didn't think they introduced him well at all. Like, I really didn't think it was a good
No, and this is another topic that we can get into, is the fact that is Marvel just requiring too much of viewers, because they're coming out with way too much content. They come out with shows like every other month or every 3 months or something. They have 3 or 4 movies a year. And if you didn't watch, if you didn't keep up with everything, you're going to miss something and you're not going to really understand what the hell's going on. So for a lot of people, if you did not watch Loki, you might be confused with the introduction of Kang.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that without watching Loki, you can still get like a good introduction, but the way they did it in Loki was really freaking good. Jonathan Majors delivers an incredible monologue in the final episode, I think, of that show, and it like sets the tone, and you know exactly what's to come because he explains everything. He explains that he is one of many. There's several variants of him. There's a multiversal war that's going to come. Like they didn't mention any of that in this movie. None of it.
I think they brought
They
it
like
up.
alluded to it.
Yeah, they brought
They
the
alluded to
multiversal.
it.
the
They alluded to it, but
multiversal-
they didn't
brought it
really. They didn't stress it as much as in the show,
Yeah.
which to me is a shock because this is a movie. It's like the flagship item that you're trying to sell to people to come to the theaters and watch the show. Because Disney Plus, you can just pay $7 a month and you watch it whenever. So it was kind of strange how they introduced him, but regardless, Kang was the best part of the movie.
As we continue into discussion, I'm gonna let our viewers and our listeners know that we are heading into a spoiler talk right now, and it is going to be in-depth talk. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, you can tune it off and then come back and listen to our discussion.
Unless you don't plan on watching the movie.
Yeah, if you're
then
just
you
listening what we're talking about, or like, you know what, I'm gonna skip it. It's totally okay, and you can continue listening. But yeah, Charlie, cue us in.
We now introduce the segment of this episode,
Spoiler time.
This section of our episode contains spoilers. Proceed with caution. We are not responsible for crying, complaining, whining, or any other side effect that may result from listening to this segment of the episode. If you believe you or a loved one is in danger of having this movie or show spoiled to you, stop now and immediately book your ticket for the next showing of this film.
Okay. I know that we are talking about MCU and this movie as a whole with the entire world. I want to stick to the film right now. And I want to know, because you guys are talking about what was working, what was not working. I want to know from a story and narrative standpoint, what specifically for you was throwing you off that you were not enjoying it, or what was good narrative that you may have wanted to see more of?
I think that narratively, the story, it just kind of like throws you into a situation. It doesn't give you a lot of lead up. And I think that a lot of issues with this film for me came with tone. Like there was a lot of parts in the movie where in the beginning, like I was chuckling and like laughing, and it was almost like a more PG rated, like Deadpool kind of feel, where it was more, you know, breaking the fourth wall and, you know, kind of talking about, you know, Paul Rudd has his little monologue in the beginning in his own head. It's like, this is what my life is like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, haha, okay, cool. Like classic MCU joking, but I was like enjoying it. And then, you know, they get into the quantum realm and you can see that there's like this sense of urgency a little bit, but then like the jokes continue. And that's where I kind of started to feel off. And then when they introduced Kang, and I started to feel like you could sense like Jonathan Majors when he was acting out Kang, and Kang the character, he has like this darkness to him and this it's almost like guilt in a way that you can kind of feel, and like he portrayed that really, really well. And like those scenes I felt like were super, super important. And then when you contrast it against like the silliness of the film, like in the way it starts up, and like the silliness of the characters, honestly, and the protagonists, it just feels like, why would you choose this vehicle? Why would you choose this tone to like convey this really important character and this villain that has a crazy arc and like has a lot of like internal battles, is what it seems like. So that was the off-putting part for me. It was like I think there was conflicting tones that really didn't work for me.
Wow. Well, we can go home now, folks, because A rounded up. That was perfectly said. We can end the podcast right here. just play. But yeah, for me, I felt the tone was, it was off for me as well. And what made me wonder was, okay, what if they used a totally different story to introduce Kang? I felt as if this maybe Ant-Man wasn't the right hero to go up against Kang right now. Do you guys feel that as well?
So I was thinking that during the movie, but then I was thinking, there's gonna be a Marvel fanboy that tells me this is the comic that Ant-Man and Kang face off, and this is why they're using this. So is that a possibility? Do you know, Charlie?
I honestly don't know how it played out in the comics.
So like if that does play out in the comics, then like I can't really I mean, either way, if it does play out in the comics and it's not a great story in the comics, then maybe, you know, that's worth talking about. But if it's a good story in the comics and it works, then like maybe it just wasn't adapted well on screen. But I'm not that much of a Marvel expert to know if this is how Kang's story of breaking into the multiverse and all of that starts. But I don't know. I agree with you. I felt like it was the wrong hero, or like the tone of the hero is more silly, and the tone of Kang, the villain, is much more like Thanos, right? Like there's a much bigger darkness to him, and like we have to like kind of see his journey a little bit to understand the depth of the character. And I just felt like all the other characters took away from that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, because if we just, put the comics away right now and we just look at the way that Ant-Man has been adapted onto screen right now, he is the comedic relief character. A lot of MCU characters are comedic relief.
He's the butt of the
joke. But he is the comedic relief, the comedic relief character. So when you put him against the baddest of them all right now in this phase, which is Kang, there has to be something that just doesn't work, and it didn't for me. It just didn't.
Even the parts where they're fighting and like somehow he is able to win the battle, it doesn't convince me. Like I'm just like, really? Like Ant-Man? Like that's the feeling I came away with, and I don't know why I felt that way.
I think why you felt that way is because there was this bullshit sequence that, like, just out of nowhere, these ants somehow got themselves into the quantum realm and built like a civilization, and like within one day they spanned thousands of years and evolved and built all this weaponry, equipment, technology, whatever. Which, if you watch the other Ant-Man movies, yes, that is explained. They train the ants to become, more advanced and learn all these things and whatever. I just didn't buy it the way they presented it in the movie for whatever reason.
I think the ants would need more context in the movie.
Yeah.
Because like they showed it right at the beginning, like a little bit. And then you see that the ants do fall in with them. But like, I don't know, all of a sudden we're proposed with the story that like, oh, the ants experienced time completely different than you did, and this is how they evolved and stuff. And it's like, okay, so they're the saviors. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. So when I saw it, I was just like, nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Here's the vehicle for winning the battle. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, okay.
That's because like who was it? Michael Douglas, right? Dr. Hank. That's because the whole like sequence of him like introducing it was kind of odd, because they're pretty much like afraid and trying to escape and whatever this whole time, and then all of a sudden he's like, well, this whole time I've been receiving a signal, blah 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 blah, and he kind of comes out of the blue with that, and I'm like, what the hell, bro? Why couldn't you have said something in the beginning? Like,
we could have seen,
it was kind of random
of that.
And the progression to it that led up. Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things, in films that they just pop out with a solution out of nowhere, because it's like they're screwed. What are they gonna do? Oh, the ants did this the whole time. That's the solution. It just didn't work for me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think I don't know, we talked a little bit about how some of the things that we were watching on screen, like the CGI and stuff, like we're like, what the hell? But it's also because I personally was thinking like the last movie that I saw that has like CGI and is a big blockbuster was Avatar.
Yeah.
So obviously any film pales in comparison to Avatar just because of budget, James Cameron, all the technology, all that stuff. So I'm not gonna get into that, but there were times where I was like, damn, like I really can tell that this like scenery is bad and the CGI is bad. And then I was thinking of like what Charlie just mentioned, like narratively, we talked about Avatar.
Yeah.
Avatar had problems narratively.
Yeah, it did.
But it was still able to carry the story in the way and in the tone that it needed to. And like a prime example with
it conveyed the same tone as it went throughout, right?
Yes,
and
it was consistent,
and it had the comedic relief characters, and the comedy worked, and there was points.
It wasn't even just comedic relief characters; it was comedic relief moments.
Yeah.
So it like a character didn't have to be the butt of the joke every time. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's like, I think the MCU is kind of guilty of that sometimes. They'll be like, oh, well, this is his trope. Like they do this thing and it's funny and it's like, okay, whatever. But what I was saying is like, if you remember in Avatar, Kiri has like the moments where she's connected to the spirit. Like I forget what it's called.
I know what we're talking. The mother, right?
The mother, right? Like the spirit of the planet. And you can see like it's happening, but you don't really understand it throughout the film until the end, and you see how she's able to use it to her advantage and like breathe life into her family that needs it underwater. Blah blah blah. Not explain the plot of Avatar, but it's like the ant thing, where Dr. Hank is like, I'm receiving these signals. You only find out at the end of the movie that he's chilling here. We've seen multiple scenes with him, and we're not seeing any signs of him hearing signals and like seeing that anything is off. And then they just threw it out of the blue, and that's the stuff that I'm like, bro, you didn't even try. You didn't even try.
Yeah, he kind of just and he was just saying like, oh, he got signals or whatever. But wasn't he like he was flying the ship the whole time?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
He was flying the ship the whole time, so it's not like he like went and explored with the ants or something. From my recollection of it,
No.
It's what they were doing. He was just receiving these signals, and then he just knows that they're
No.
evolved, right?
So the way that they presented it was, he's hearing the signals throughout the entire time that he's there. He doesn't know what they are until his plane goes down and the ants like find him.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
that's
Dad,
right.
oh, it was you guys. But like, we didn't get that backstory of the signals until that moment. So it just felt like something they threw out. It feels like they were building the story, and then they were like, okay, damn, the ants have to help here. So how do we make it so that the ants help? Oh, we'll make it so that he was hearing signals the whole time. They didn't see that, but it doesn't matter. We'll just tell them. Like, bro, you have to do a little bit more showing than just telling.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where the movie lost me a little bit. And yeah, that's another just flaw that I had that I couldn't get over.
Yeah. Charlie, I want to go. We talked about the tone of the movie as well. I want to stay in that conversation with tone. For me, there was moments where when it was serious, I was like, yes, and then comedy, serious, and then a line to like make you laugh. And then but when that kept happening consistently throughout the film, I kind of just started laughing at the movie, and I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, I'm trying to understand, because this is a serious part in the movie, but it's not translating well to me, or I don't know if you guys were feeling that way as well, or to the viewer. Charlie, what specifically, from a tone-wise, was not working for you as well?
The part where they introduced Daryl, and he's Darren, whatever his name is, and his face is just like this puffed up thing. I think that's the point where the audience kind of like stopped taking the movie seriously, and like the whole theater just erupted in laughter of how ridiculous that part was. To be honest, I didn't think they overdid some of the comic relief in this. Like I feel like there are other Marvel films that their jokes are literally every other line, and it's every character saying it.
But I feel like this one is more off-putting because of
because
it's more off-putting because it's like very out of place. It's like it's just weird, and I think what they were trying to go with is to show you that the quantum realm anything is possible, and things are just weird over there. But I feel like they just didn't do it the right way, or they overdid it. I feel like there's other ways that they could show that it's weird or that strange things happen there. But yeah, I don't know. There were moments in this film too where it lost me because it felt like it was just ripping off another movie. So like I mentioned this earlier in the episode, it was like I felt like it was ripping off Star Wars a lot. All of Kang's like basically like army are basically just stormtroopers in a black and blue outfit.
Yeah, that's a fact.
It's literally alluding to the same type of thing. Kang has a moment where he's on like a blue screen, right? And he just looks like Emperor Palpatine. It's literally the same thing.
And he's like the conqueror, and like everyone, he's built an empire. And it's like, bro, it's so on the nose.
There's a scene with the stormtroopers that they like retract.
We're just calling them stormtroopers.
Yeah, I'm calling them stormtroopers, but they like retract this bridge, and the design of the bridge is literally out of Star Wars. It's just like a floating bridge that is retractable and comes back. It just felt like Star Wars, man. And I'm gonna I've said
And the battle
this,
scene is like them penetrating this fortress. Like you have to. It's like the Death Star.
I have said this off camera to you guys and to some other friends as well. I am counting the day because Marvel, Disney in general are gonna run out of ideas at some point. I am counting to the day when they take all of these properties that they own and do a major crossover between all of them. I am telling you, we will see the day.
I really hope that doesn't
Dude,
happen.
we're going to see the day.
Kingdom Hearts.
Maybe. Okay, but that's no. Yeah, but what I'm saying is we're going to see the day where literally Star Wars and Marvel, Avengers, whatever, crossover into the same universe. I'm telling you, especially with this whole multiverse stuff, whatever, that they're trying to make you, believe that all this stuff could happen. There's many variants. You saw the end of the movie. Like Kang had like a bazillion variants at the very end.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's comic book accurate because the designs that I've seen of Kang were the ones that we saw in that very first post-credit scene, like the Egyptian-looking one, the one in that glowing outfit, whatever. So I don't know how many variants of him there is. It looks like it's infinite, so how the hell are the Avengers going to stop this? I don't know. Maybe they trained freaking tarantulas or something.
They trained with the Jedi.
Yeah, they trained with the Jedi. Luke Skywalker is going to help
the Jedi
them.
way.
Pretty much. That's what it felt like.
Wow. Okay, and Charlie, you brought up how this introduction of Kang was not as good compared to the Loki version and how they introduced him. Why did you say that? What you thought? What was the difference? What you liked about his introduction in Loki's?
There was a lot of mystery in that part of Loki because if I'm remembering correctly, Loki just kind of shows up in this room with his variant. I forgot her name. And they kind of just, Jonathan Majors is there as Kang and just turns around as, on this chair. And then he just starts to talk to them and try to convince them to kill him and all this stuff and whatever. I just thought the way that they structured that scene, his monologue, and then convincing Loki's variant to kill him was basically like a trap, right? It was him being like, I'm not finding the right word, but it's him like tricking them.
He was talking riddles as well. He was
Manipulating them.
He was manipulating them, but he was like deceiving them, and that led up to everything else. And then the scene that we get after Loki like wakes up or something, and he just talks to somebody that he knew from the Timekeeper's office, and they didn't know who he was. And then he looks around, there's like statues of Kang. Like just the way they introduced that was really freaking good. In this movie, they kind of gave like a backstory to how Kang ended up there. And like we see him just like destroying shit. We don't know too much about why he's doing that yet. I'm sure they'll develop that as they go through the story. And I have a feeling that's going to happen in Loki again because
we saw the cutscene.
There's a post-credit scene. We're already in the spoiler section, so yeah, there's that post-credit scene that they show Loki and
Owen Wilson's character.
Owen Wilson's character's name, not remembering.
Captain Wow.
Yeah, so I thought Loki did a better job of introducing Kang. But they still had good moments in here. Like he had good monologues and like good.
He had really good moments.
He had really good moments in this. I can't complain. Like I said, Kang is the best part of the entire thing. I have no complaints about Kang. No, I have one. I have one complaint about Kang. I do not like the helmet mask with the blue cover thing. It just makes it's so distracting because the CGI for that was bad. It didn't look good covering his face. So Marvel, fix that or just get rid of it and just let us see Jonathan Majors' face because it's better.
Shining. He's
it's
doing
better. It's literally better. Like every time that we saw him without the helmet, and he's like angry or whatever,
emotion.
showing the expressions, like you could feel that. And that last fight sequence I thought was really good too, just to give another positive to the movie.
There was one scene that I didn't hate, and I actually liked the. Maybe it was just me, but I actually liked the storm of like possibilities scene where there's like multiple versions of him and
that scene was dope.
possible outcomes.
That scene was really good.
I thought that was kind of cool, and like the way that it played out and everything. And like although it was corny, like the way that it worked out was like, no matter what possibility of him, all of him wanted to save his daughter, which I was like, that's sweet. You know what I mean? That's the most connected I felt to their relationship the entire time, because their chemistry wasn't good. If I'm being honest with you, I thought they were kind of mid. Like it was felt very basic, and like there was not a lot of connection there. But yeah, I thought that one scene was also like pretty good outside of the Kang stuff. But again, going off of what Charlie said, like, one, Marvel pumps out so much stuff that people can't keep up, and that directly relates to me because I haven't seen Loki.
Yeah,
it's because I like haven't really had the time to catch up to it, and it sucks now that I'm getting the bad introduction to Kang. Like I didn't. Get
You thought that was also a bad introduction as well. You thought Kang's intro wasn't
in this movie.
Yeah, for coming in and not seeing Loki's.
Yeah. I thought Kang the character was good, like and the way that Kang was portrayed is good.
Yeah.
But I thought there was probably a better vehicle to introduce him, either a different movie or like a different setting and something. But this wasn't. It didn't work for me. So like it kind of upsets me that I missed out on a good introduction to this villain that I'm hoping for the MCU's feature is going to be very good, maybe even better than Thanos. And Thanos was a great, depth to him.
Yeah, it was good.
So now it's like I'm really hopeful that the character still has a good arc, even though this film didn't work for me. And yeah, I don't know. I wish now that I have watched Loki, but at the same time, like, how the hell was I supposed to know that Kang was going to show up at the end of Loki?
Yeah.
So
I think it would have been a better idea if they had started off with either that full scene from the end of Loki with the whole monologue, or just like a recap of it, like a little montage type of thing. Cut pieces of it out and then cut to the Marvel intro, dun 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 dun, with the little reel thing, you know. That would have, for the audience that doesn't know, that I think would have been a good precursor to.
But then the way that they introduced, I think what they tried to do in this film is they tried to introduce Kang to the viewers like me, right? Like the people who aren't watching everything, because they introduced this character right at the beginning of the film.
Yep.
He's there with Janet. They're stuck, and he's like, "What is this place?" As if he's like doesn't know what's going on, and maybe he didn't, but like he's supposed to be this mystery character in the beginning, but then, you know, you learn a little bit about him, and I don't know, I felt like there was a little bit more backstory and a little bit more feeling and dedication to the character I would have loved to see that maybe connected me more to the villain. And I'm still connected because the performance is really good. But I don't think the story really served the character.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if I 100% agree with the story not serving the character, because I think even though the introduction of Loki of Kang is better, I still feel like they gave us enough of a substance as to what it was, because comparing it to how they introduced Thanos, he just kind of shows up on screen.
Yeah, he's showing up at the end of Avengers, and then shows up again in Infinity War.
Yeah.
We only really get like his background and stuff towards Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
So for them to start off a new phase of like the multiverse stuff, and right off the bat introduce the villain with a backstory, I think is a good start.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with that. I think that is a good start, because one, audience will be able to connect with the character better, but also feel how crazy in the situation is and how scary he is, because I feel like that's what you want to convey. And I feel like they're doing Kang. I think they're gonna do Kang right, and what they're doing right now. I think they're gonna do him right.
I can see that.
But I think what's happening with, as a story, they're not doing it right.
Right.
Like the entire story and backstory.
Exactly. I think not just Kang, but like the universe in general. It's just not working. I feel like some characters have like their positives and they're great, but the narrative of this phase so far, and it's just not working.
It's not. It's very ambitious. But if anybody can do it, it's Marvel.
Yeah, it's
because they've proven that they can make great films in the past. But I do think it's challenging. It's ambitious because it's something that deals with time, and you have to be very clever to do that. You have to be very
And
clever.
Marvel loves to use those simple escape methods. Of like,
Right.
oh, here's how it worked, and
Right.
you're just
Right.
supposed to believe it.
How do you think you kind of fix that at this moment? Because I feel as if now I feel like it's the popular opinion right now is that this multiversal stuff is not working, and some people are now turning their eyes away from Marvel and saying, I don't want to watch this anymore. What do you think would be a change in how Marvel should approach this from now on? I think for me specifically, I think they need to stop with just the quantity and just focus on quality right now. Really pick a project and hone in on that project and make sure that it's the best piece of art that you are releasing, not to a point where you want to just make money and generate money. I get it. You have to.
Kind of the point.
That's the point, right? You have to make money, but also think about how this story can push the art of filmmaking as well, can push the art of storytelling. Because why is Avatar so impactful, right? Because they took their time with the visual effects. They took their time with,
building
the world and all that stuff. It's like I'm not saying take Avatar time, but really take your time with it. It's okay. Some people will complain and be like, yo, it's taking so long to release a Marvel movie. But as long as you're releasing the best of the best quality that you have, it's gonna last forever. Because none of us are gonna go back and watch Ant-Man Quantumania,
No.
Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. No one's gonna watch that.
Maybe the Kang scenes.
And it's gonna.
But you're not gonna sit down and rewatch the movie.
No.
You're not, right?
And plus the way that it looked like.
But
just
we go. But
visually,
here's the thing.
It's gonna age really.
But here's
poorly.
the thing. We go back and we watch the Dark Knight series. We go back and
100%.
yeah, exactly. So it's like
Watch the Batman.
we watch the Batman
because
just
it's well
released,
crafted.
because it's exactly.
Thought through and they took their time.
And the story on its own works really well and has replay value. These don't to me.
100%.
Like a lot of times I'm watching MCU films and I'm feeling like, okay, I got another piece, the next piece to the puzzle. Now I can just move on. You know what I mean? Like I'm just watching it to try and hope to keep connecting the dots so that when the next huge climax comes, I'm not completely lost.
Yeah, I think the problem is that the Marvel formula is very much rinse and repeat, and the one thing that fans are really looking for are just cameos. To be completely honest, that's what kind of is pushing the envelope and evolving and making the movie better and better is cameos. Because like you saw what happened with Spider-Man, huge. Why? Cameos. Not to say that that's always the case, because you have Infinity War and Endgame.
You have Infinity War, Endgame, Black Panther.
Yeah, which are great films, and it didn't rely solely on cameos. But I feel like when Marvel is really trying to impress people and get a crowd reaction, it's a cameo. That's their fallback, is a cameo. So I don't know, what are they gonna do? They're gonna bring Iron Man back or something at some point, probably, or Steve Rogers as Captain America. They're just gonna bring those characters back and get a crowd roar and then move on, make their $1 billion and go on to the next project. And make another cameo or something.
Yeah, because it's very easy. It's very easy for them to bring those characters back now because of the whole multiverse stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But the thing, there are other. It's still cameos though. there are other things that people are kind of excited about the multiverse thing, because through the process of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there have been certain actors that were meant to play a certain role that ended up not playing a role. One of the examples is. Why am I blanking on his name now? Mission Impossible actor
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise was supposed to be Iron Man, not Robert Downey Jr. That was their first thought. So they're like, oh, one of the variants of Iron Man can be Tom Cruise's Iron Man. There's endless possibilities. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, Timothy Chalamet was supposed to be Spider-Man. Was auditioning for Spider-Man with Tom Holland. They were competing. Maybe they could bring him as a cameo of a version of Spider-Man. You know, I don't know. I don't know what they'll do. But yeah, like I said, it's kind of just falling back into cameos, relying on cameos to be your
just fanfare.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fan service, that's what I feel like that's happening. And I mean, I get it. Fan service is good, especially for fans. So you go to see exactly what the fans want. So I understand why you would want to do it.
But sometimes you have to challenge and make the audience feel kind of hit by it, or maybe uncomfortable seeing whoa, they're really pushing this story. And I feel as if sometimes they're not being that ambitious. They're not showing the villain winning sometimes. It's do that. you know, push the narrative, change it a little bit.
That's what I was expecting at the
I
end
was
of this
expecting
movie.
I was expecting
I was
Kang to like
expecting
really
Kang
show
to win in this film.
There was a second that I thought Ant-Man was gonna die.
I did too.
And I was like, if they do this, I might be okay with this movie. Like, I might not completely hate this.
Right.
Because maybe they're leading somewhere with this, like...
Because if they really don't want to show the brutality of Kang and what he's
capable
for
of.
and what he can do and how strong he is, I think if they did that, it would have put a statement to his character and how, you know, he should be feared.
Right. And I was like... And also, it's just like... You know, I don't know. There's a lot of plot armor in the MCU, I feel like. But, like, that would have tossed out there, like, nobody's safe. Like, you don't know what can happen.
There are no stakes, I feel, like in the MCU. There are no stakes. Huh?
Like, there
are no high stakes situations.
Okay.
Like no risky situations. Like the only risky situation really was Iron Man snapping his finger at the end of Endgame.
There is risky situations, but the risky situations
you always know how they
turn out. It's because at the end they always have closure with it.
That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes it's like you want the risky situation to keep going all the way to the end, where maybe you don't have closure on it for quite some time.
Right. That's what I mean by that. I'm saying like there's like Abe said, it's plot armor left and right. They're never gonna really sacrifice a hero unless it's like, you know, one of the big films. You know, Infinity War, we lost Black Widow. Endgame, we lose Iron Man. That kind of stuff. So I think that unfortunately, I don't know how Marvel fixes that. I really don't. I don't think they do. For them,
you don't think they
I
do.
think for them to actually make, you know, certain villains more powerful or more impactful, we take them more seriously. They do have to kill heroes that we do see, and not just random characters that we don't know. It's like, oh, he destroyed this planet. Great, we didn't know that planet existed. We didn't know who that was.
Yeah.
So you can't connect to it. But if it's like he comes out and kills Shang-Chi or Ms. Marvel or something, I don't know, one of the recent ones I'm naming, but anything, it'll kind of escalate the risk. And it'll also give the other heroes a reason to fight.
Yeah. No, you're right. I wanna touch on two more things before we end this episode. But first thing I want to touch, and I was feeling like this after the movie ended, was that these Marvel films, they all look the same now. There is nothing that makes them different from one another. From a grading wise, from a color correction wise, it just looks the same. Even cinematography, I can't. And I don't know if y'all feel this way as well, or some of you guys. I just think from a standpoint where we're trying to see a different character, different movie, it kind of should change with the character, and it doesn't. It feels as if it's the same thing over and over and over again from a cinematography, color grading, and color correction standpoint. It just feels the same. There's no you know, true identity to what the film that we're watching is.
The past two Marvel movies have been the exact same, pretty much color scheme and cinematography.
Yeah,
Thor and this one.
It makes me feel sometimes like I could care less who's directing the film, because I feel like I know exactly what's gonna happen, what it's gonna look like, and like what I'm gonna get from it. So like it could be a great director that I'm a fan of, and I'd be Taika. I mean, again, Taika probably made a big joke out of it, and like he had fun probably, but like, you know, I would probably be excited to that. But I was like, okay, there's a lot of MCU-ness to it, right? Like there's always going to be MCU-ness to it. So it's weird now. It's just like it feels like a copy and paste a lot of the time.
I want to ask the audience, do you guys feel that way as well? I think maybe I think some movies do it different. Like Black Panther, I think, is one of them that they really change it up a bit.
Black Panther loves to dive into its own world, and not rely on.
And you feel immersed in Wakanda. It's so interesting. On some movies it works, some movies it doesn't.
Yeah,
I think it has to do with the director and like just the whole team behind it, writers, everything. Because Wakanda is a very unique location in the MCU.
But the quantum realm is also a very unique location.
It is.
Why did it feel like I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy?
Straight up.
Right.
Meets Star
Exactly.
Wars.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Pretty much. But that's the thing. I feel like they really need to take their time with this stuff. I think the machine is starting to wear out, and they need to they need to lubricate it a bit. I don't know what the expression is, bro. They need
to freshen it up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So last question that we talked about now the MCU as a whole. Are you guys getting tired of the MCU? Have you been tired, or are you more like, I honestly could care less and I don't care what movie comes next? Are you already, turning your back on it and being like, honestly, I could skip out on it?
I have been. I already have been skipping out. You guys were mentioning a movie that came out not too long ago that is way better than this in the MCU that I haven't seen, Doctor Strange. And like part of the reason I didn't see Doctor Strange is because I just felt like there was so much Marvel that I couldn't handle it. Like I was like, I need a break and I need to not watch this. And I also hadn't, again, another reason I didn't watch that is because I didn't see WandaVision. And I was being told that I had to see WandaVision for me to really understand what's going on in Doctor Strange. So I was like, bro, I can't keep up. It's just like, it's exhausting. I think for me, if they cut back on the quantity, I think I would be a lot more inclined to like actually keep up with it a bit more. But because of the quantity and now because of the lack of quality in some of the films that we're seeing, it's like, it's really hard. It's not a great incentive for me to really be returning back. But with that said, there are good storytelling moments in the MCU, and we've seen them even in recently, like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Like it wasn't.
Shang-Chi is another example. Like
yeah, Shang-Chi's another example.
Really
that
Shang-Chi is the best movie of this phase.
Yeah.
Yep. That's probably true. And it because it dove into its own,
aged really well.
It dove into its own world and didn't rely on like the rest of the characters and whatnot. Like it may have made mentions to like the Avengers here and whatever, but I don't know. I feel like those films that dive into their own worlds a bit more and can serve as standalone films is a little bit more of what I want to see from the MCU. And is why I've probably connected with like standalone DC hero movies more than I connect with the MCU. The DCU is a whole different story.
Yeah,
and we'll see how
that's a mess. Go. Yeah, because I know they're going to change it up with James Gunn now.
Yeah, but
it's just going to feel like Marvel.
Yeah,
you think it's going to feel like Marvel? We can get into it.
Like Marvel.
If it does, then that might cause me to be really turned off by superhero movies in general because I'm going to be like everything's the same, other than like the standalones, right? Like we'll get the new Joker with
Barry.
Wait, no. The new.
He's talking about
Joaquin
the Joaquin
Phoenix
one.
Oh,
with Lady Gaga.
Oh yeah,
with
we saw the
which is a musical.
Yeah.
saw the still.
Not
like that's so ambitious. It's like if you're gonna make a sequel to the Joker, I feel like that's the route that you go. Like, you really gotta challenge yourself.
Yeah,
and it's great that I know some people are like,
and no guarantee it's gonna be a good movie.
Yeah, no guarantee. But what I'm loving is the ambition to make it a musical.
Yeah,
which is gonna be, I think,
it's weird as hell. But I'm like
you know what I mean? Like
I'm
that's
intrigued. Yeah, and I know it's gonna be different.
It's pushing the boundary. It's again being ambitious. It's putting yourself outside your comfort zone.
Right.
We don't see that.
And your audience's comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the things that Marvel is afraid of is like things have been working for so long that they're like, well, can't switch it up. It's gonna keep working. And it's like, yeah, but at some point it's gonna get stale. And I feel like we're kind of getting there.
I mean, tonight was a good example. Possibly it might have just been a fluke of our theater, but to be honest, every single time that there's a Marvel release and we go to the Jordan's IMAX, it's packed. Today, what is there, like 40 people in there? 50 people?
It was
empty. It was empty. There was nobody
for a Marvel movie.
For a Marvel movie, it was empty. Yeah. The last time we saw a Marvel movie in there, that thing was sold out, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time it's packed up. I'm sure maybe other theaters, more people are going.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. It did Thursday previews. It did 17.5 million on Thursday previews alone, which is the most for any Ant-Man movie compared to the 3.
Yeah.
So it's going to make its money.
Yeah, and that's largely in part due to the fact that the fans have been hyping up this movie because it's the introduction of the multiverse
and the multiverse and all that.
The introduction of Kang in the multiverse. Unfortunately, I don't think it lives up to the hype of this entire, kickoff to the multiverse thing. But I feel like we're starting to see some signs of it kind of dying down. It was very strange to go to a 7 p.m. showing on release day, Friday, and just empty theater. Like there was not a lot of people there.
Yeah. That was interesting.
And everybody was laughing at the movie at one point. Like, not laughing with the movie, but laughing at the movie.
Yeah.
And there were some adamant Marvel fans sitting in a row right in front of us, and they were just like, yeah, don't watch this movie. when we were walking out.
Yeah, they
They're
said
like,
that
"Don't watch
walking
this
out.
movie."
Yeah,
That's funny
said that
as
walking
hell.
out. And
So,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Well, I mean, at least the Marvel fans are recognizing that,
Mhm.
and I feel like I
and I
feel
think
like Marvel
I
fans.
think Marvel is recognizing that as well, because I told Abe this. They actually pushed Miss Marvel back to November. It was supposed to
the
come out.
Marvels.
The Marvels, the Marvels back to November because it was because of that, quality. They want to make sure they're releasing the best movie that they can,
Mhm.
and I think that's a good sign.
Yeah.
But,
And I was gonna say that, like, I don't think Marvel fans are like just this. They're all the same, and they just want this fanfare and product that Marvel always pushes out, and it's always gonna be good. I don't think that. I think that now fans are starting to get like,
Mhm.
hey, like, can we do something different?
Mhm.
And can we like switch it up a little bit? And I hope that that's the case, because I do want to see Marvel movies
Mhm.
move me as a standalone film,
Mhm.
but just really hasn't lately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
With that being said, y'all, this was a great discussion on the MCU as a whole, but also the film we had just watched, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Again, we are scared for the MCU. I am, because I am a fan and I do like watching them, but it's heading towards a route where we're confused and trying to understand what direction they're heading to. But we appreciate you guys listening to this conversation. Again, we are not. It's not. We may have sounded like we were hating on it. We like it, but we just want to make sure it's good. We want to see something good. But we appreciate you guys listening. Like this video, subscribe, follow if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Let us know what you thought.
Exactly. Talk to us in the comments. We want to interact, but we love you guys. See you soon.
Peace.